Taking a look at charts in Word 2007, and it's actually quite easy to create that chart. Click Insert, Chart, and off you go. And then, of course, hey, Excel problems, not an issue. By the way, I highly suggest you check out Emily Berry's Nugget series on Excel 2007 because talk about cool. Then you can take all the power of Excel and place it into Word. That's why Office 2007 integrates so well. Speaking of integration, linking that data, whether I type it in, whether I actually link to an external data source or copy and paste it into my data source, I can manipulate the data that's going into my chart. And then to modify that chart, the look and feel, the color, do I want to add a title, do I want to make it look like it's 3D, those capabilities, just like any other picture or clip art diagram, you can use those same drawing tools on your charts. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing. Microsoft Word 2007 text formatting. If you remember back in the days of the typewriter, remember you could only change your font by changing the typewriter head, or the color by changing the printer ribbon, or just changing maybe the color of the paper itself. That was about all you could do, and then you could maybe cut and paste pictures and photos and newspaper clippings to make it look good. Not anymore. With word processing, you have the power of Word 2007 and all the formatting tools at your fingertips. There really is a tremendous amount of things that you can do in formatting text. We're going to take a look at least at the basics here of changing your fonts, taking a look at the bold, italics, the underlines, oh my, and Format Painter, which is a really neat tool that allows you to copy your formatting from one section to another. And then we're going to take a look at character spacing. Sometimes there's a little confusion between character spacing and superscripts and subscripts and how that all works. I went ahead and created just a basic brochure for my Acme Instruments Incorporated, and we're going to call this the Instrument Information Brochure. So I got a little sheet that I can send out to everyone who maybe wants to order some of our instruments or find out a little bit more about it. Makes sense, right? And you'll see I simply went in and typed in Times New Roman instrument information, typed a little bit more, and then if I scroll down here, just using my scroll wheel, or you can take your scroll bar here and move it up and down, you can see I just listed out all the different instruments, and now I want to start formatting and probably go ahead and insert a picture of a clarinet and do some formatting and make my document look a little better, right? Because, quite honestly, if someone sent me this, it looks like, a third grader just went in and typed on this and sent it out. I want it to look professional. I want it to really pop out. So I'm going to do some formatting. Now, there's a lot of formatting we could do, obviously. This is just kind of the first in the videos, the nuggets that we're going to do on formatting. And we're going to concentrate primarily on this box that you see right here, dealing with the fonts itself. So the fonts, or the text that we have right here, is all going to be taken care of in this section of my ribbon. We're going to be on the home tab here on the ribbon, and here's where we're going to find our font. We also find paragraph, which we'll look at in a future nugget, as well as how we can do quick styles, where we can make changes without having to go, okay, change the font, go add bold, then change the color, then maybe make it centered, and then add a little indents and do things like that. That's what quick styles allows us to do. We'll look at that in a later nugget video. But here, all I need to do in order to make some changes to the text that I have is I can highlight some text like this, and you notice that when you do that, you have that little ghosted quick format toolbar that shows up right above it. Now the neat thing is I can come in here and make some certain changes that are already set up for me, like adding bold or italics or highlighting, changing the color of the font if necessary, changing the indentation, whether it's all the way up against the margin, or I can increase the indent or decrease it, just depending. Make it turn into a bulleted list. I can, change the quick styles on it. I can also increase the size. I can do a lot of things just by simply, once I highlight something, I just move over here to the quick format toolbar. Now I'll go ahead and do this once just to show you that it works just as well as going up above. Let's say we know that we're going to want this to be bold. So we want instrument information to be bold. So I click on the bold button and voila, there it is. Instrument information has now been bolded. And you'll notice that up here it has now showed that bold button pressed down to reflect what's accurately happening down here. So great. So we actually know that right now the highlighted information, the highlighted text that I have is bold, it's Times New Roman, and it's 12 point. Now down here on the quick toolbar, you'll notice that when I clicked on things or I hovered over things, I didn't get that instant preview that I mentioned in an earlier nugget. Well, that's because you need to be able to go up here to the ribbon bar to be able to see that. For example, Times New Roman, while it's probably a great just standard text for the body, doesn't look all that great for a header. So I want to change the font. So all I need to do is, while my text is highlighted, I can come up here, click on the Times New Roman font, and then choose from either any of the theme fonts, which I'm running my standard Office 2007 Word, and that's going to be Cambria and Calibri. As you know, Cambria will be the headers, Calibri will be the body. Two new fonts that are now in the 2007 version of Office. We'll find that. And then I can use recently used font. So I've typed some things in the past here and changed it. And watch what happens with that quick preview. If I just hover over brush script, it changes. Look down here. Watch where my mouse is. Now when I hover over here, look at that. It shows you what the brush script is going to look like. Or I can go to Bell or Arial or Bauhaus 93. Gotta love that Bauhaus. And you say, wow, that looks good. Or I can then scroll down and then see any of all the fonts that I have. Now remember, your mileage may vary depending on which version of Office that you've loaded, or if you have programs that have a lot of fonts added, like Publisher or some like Corel drawing program, or Photoshop adds certain types of fonts. Any font that is located, TrueType font that's located in your fonts folder in your Windows operating system, this is Vista or whether it's XP or even earlier with 98, will appear in your Office fonts. So you can see what they look like if they are TrueType fonts. So if I scroll down here, let's say we want to find something that looks kind of cool for my header, and I'll say, you know what, looking at all these right here, I really like this Harlow Solid Italic. That looks really good. So now when I do that and I click on it, it instantly changes it to Harlow Solid Italic. My font size is the same, but notice my bold. Remember I bolded it originally? I might say, you know, that doesn't look really good. It's already solid. So what I can do is turn the bold off and say, that looks really good. So I now change the font, and I've also released the bold off of it, made it look good, so I'm doing some formatting here. What else might I want to do? Well, I know that a title or a heading needs to be bigger than the actual text down here. So what I can do is come down here, click on the font size, and again, as I change the font size, look at that, instant preview. I love this feature in Office 2007, especially Word. So I'll go ahead and say I want it to be 26. That's a good size. And so now instrument information is now my header here in Harlow Solid Italic. And then down below is going to be my body text, which will be the plain black. Now I'll be honest, Times New Roman, not necessarily my favorite. So let's make the rest of the text, and I can go ahead and highlight it and then use this. I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of this and say I want to change this font to something a little bit easier to read. I really like the Arial or maybe the Bell MT. That would be good. So let's go stick with Arial right here. I click on Arial, and now it says many people turn to Acme Instruments Inc. in Arial with the 12 point. I've made one change to it. Now this is really neat. Now check this out. I'm going to make some more changes here, including, let's just change the size just a little bit. Right now it's Arial at 12. Let's go ahead, I'm going to highlight all of this text, and I'm going to go ahead and, number one, bold it. Then I'm going to change the size down to 10. That kind of looks good. So now I've changed the size to 10, and I've added bold to this, and it says many people turn to Acme Instruments. Now what if I wanted to, I love this formatting. I think, wow, this is great. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Now watch what happens when I do this. Let's say I highlight this. I'll highlight just this section, and then on here, you're going to notice something. I can come up here to the Format Painter, which copies all the formatting that I have on this many people turn to Acme Instruments portion of my text, and then I can go ahead and then apply it to another. So if I notice, I can do it of one of two ways. I can either select it, or I can double click. I'll hold it over there so you can see it. I can double click that to multiple places in the document. So I'm going to go ahead and select Format Painter. Now I have a choice. Notice how my cursor here changes to the little paintbrush. So what I can do is if I double click on Clarinet, it changed to the Clarinet that looks exactly like I have up here, doesn't it? It's the exact same font, the bold and the 10 point. If I go off here and select it again, it says, yeah, sure, we can do that. Neat. Now, another way that you can do this, if you want to do a whole bunch, is let me go ahead and do this again. I'll highlight this. I'll click the Format Painter, which, by the way, if I come down here and highlight this, it's also available as one of my options on my Quick Format toolbar. Awesome. So I'll go ahead and select it from here. And it says, all right, you now have that. I can then click and hold and select all the rest of my text. Watch what happens. Bada bing, bada boom, it all changed to the same formatting that I had applied to the text that I see up here. That is cool. And so that makes it a lot easier for me to do just some really quick formatting if I really like it. And as we'll see a little bit later on, it's not something that I have in my saved styles that I can use for my quick styles. I can use the Format Painter to apply all of these changes to some text exactly. It's almost like carbon copying the formatting. That's why they call it Format Painter onto some other text. There's a lot more that we can do, obviously, when we look at formatting, and we can see a lot of things that are just included right here on the font section, or the font area of our grouping on the Home tab. So we can do the bold, the italics, the underline. We can do the strike through if we need to. We can do your subscript or superscript if we wanted to add something. We can even come in and clear all the formatting. Now this is kind of nice. If you want to just highlight something and say, you know what, I really don't want the formatting here, all you would nearly need to do is just click the clear formatting, and it's back down to the original Times New Roman that was put on the document. So we'll go ahead and undo that so we have it back to where we were. You can also do highlighting, which is highlighting a text. So it literally looks like you just went in and highlighted. So what you might want to do is highlight a certain section. So we would say, you know, like what types are available and which one is the best for me. We want to highlight that section so they can see it. Now, notice it is also part of the quick format, but we'll come up here and you can change the color of the highlight. So we can go in and say, oh wow, we can change it to yellow or green or blue. Well, got to watch out. That dark blue kind of hides it. You can also change the teal and all the different colors here that I'm just showing you. All look really good. And let's say that we wanted to use something that's, you know, kind of light. And by the way, you can do no color with a highlight. Isn't that interesting? So you can say, well, there's no real color, but it'll just be kind of highlighted a little bit. Now, I'll go with the, like, you know, the little turquoise, which is kind of like my sky blue. Anyone who's ever listened to my Nugget series know I'm a really big fan of sky blue. So we'll go ahead and select turquoise. And so you'll notice that the cursor has now appeared at the end here. No longer is this highlighted. If I select it, look what happens. I'm actually selecting already highlighted text. Now I understand that sometimes I use the words highlight and select kind of interchangeably. Technically, anytime I come and I click my mouse and I drag, I'm selecting text. I say highlight. Highlighting really, truly, technically is when you select text and then you apply a highlighter color to it. So just so I don't want anyone to be confused if they are listening to that. So there we go. So we've now highlighted the text. We've done that. And let's say we say that the color of the text itself, what types are available and which one is best for me, doesn't really go real well with this turquoise. Well, we can change the color of the text too, the font color. I can down-click right here, and I can select standard colors if I want, or I can use you know, different blues or whites or colors or things, or I can even go to more colors and change the color that I have right there. So you have different things that you can do. So let's go ahead and select what is the best instrument for me. Come up here and select the colors. And so now, again, you can see as I move over each one of these, it changes the color and the look and feel of that. So I can pick one. Which one is, going to look the best? Or I can even go to more colors, which is nice. When I click on more colors, I can go from a standard color that you see here on the dialog box to even a custom color. Here's where I can use whether an RGB color model or an HSL, depending on how I want to run it,